So, you think you want to go viral on TikTok, huh? Are you sure? You sure about that? You sure? No. Okay. I'm going to share my viral TikTok experience with you today. I'm going to tell you what it was like to have a video that took off and gained 15.5 million views as of today. I posted this about 2 weeks ago. And as of today, it's at about 15.6 million, actually. So I'm going to tell you what that experience has been like for me and explain a little bit of the strategy that I used to get there. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the video and my experience around the particulars surrounding the video itself and kind of the content and the feedback and the controversy and all of that. So stay tuned. So a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video about the rebranding of Jemima, which, as some of you may know, has become the Pearl Milling Company. They haven't quite finished the transition as of, this is March of 2021. So they should really be finished with that rebranding and redistributing of their product in June, as I understand it, of 2021. But I had heard a little bit about the controversy surrounding this rebranding. I have not been super invested in that. I have not been watching a lot of news or a lot of social media around this. I had just heard some murmuring and a little bit of consternation from some folks who were upset about the branding change. And so I decided to do a video on it because this is a subject that I've, done some thinking about. It's not anything I've been obsessed with to any degree, though you wouldn't know it from some of the comments accusing me of being overly fixated on a syrup bottle. But it's something that I have thought about, since I was a child. I've been very much aware of Aunt Jemima as a brand. I've had my thoughts on the fact that this brand has been allowed on store shelves, for over 100 years. The TikTok part of things, if you're wondering what my strategy was to get a viral video out there on TikTok, I actually did a lot of research, paying attention to some content creators that are here on YouTube. I will put their names up on the screen so that you can go and check them out. But there are a couple of cool creators that I pay attention to here on YouTube and on Instagram that have given me some pointers about just practical things that you can do to increase your following on TikTok. And I was kind of aware that it was a platform that allowed for some really rapid growth. And so for me, that was an exciting prospect. Now, if you know me from YouTube, you probably know that I'm a singer. Depending on the kind of singing that you do, that can be something that allows you to go viral. With the kind of singing that I do, which is really more chill, kind of jazz-oriented stuff, singer-songwriter stuff, it's really not the jingle the keys in your face, explosions and fireworks type of performing that tends to do well on platforms like TikTok. I actually officially joined TikTok back in December of 2019, I think. I posted a video of me singing and doing some stacked vocals with a man named Charlie Hunter, who's a wonderful guitar player. But the video just sort of went nowhere. And so I thought to myself, why am I even on this platform? I think one of my nieces or nephews was on it, which is why I joined it. And I'm just like, well, this is for the kids. I don't even really understand what it's for or how to use it or how it could be of benefit to me. And at that time, I was really just focused on putting my music out there, as I still am. But it wasn't until probably December of last year, so a year after posting that first video, which plummeted and did absolutely nothing. But it was about a year later that I decided to really give TikTok a go, and that was because a lot of videos that people were sending me, which were a lot of sketch comedy and things like that, that were making me laugh but think at the same time. I noticed a lot of them had that TikTok watermark on them. I'm like, something really cool is happening over there on that platform. I want to go and just check it out. So I went over there just as a viewer, just to kind of check the platform out and see how I liked it. And so a lot of the sketches that I saw started to really inspire me. And I'm like, I know I could do this. Whether or not people would accept this from me or whether or not I could release my inhibitions enough to be able to really invest myself in developing and doing some sketch work, I don't know. So I just started playing around with some little silly things and floating a few ideas and seeing what worked. And for the most part, it was just, I'd get a couple hundred views. But I noticed that when I did this silly little video where I reacted to Gayle King's interview with the woman in New York who had accused the young black man of stealing her phone. There was a story that broke like several months ago where this woman accosted a young man and attacked him in a hotel room, and Gayle King interviewed this young woman on her laptop, and the woman just shut Gayle King down, and she was very disrespectful and very rude and told her to, like, enough. I think she said, enough. And it was just me showing that little clip of that young woman saying enough to Gayle King, and then me just gasping over the idea that she would try to shut Gayle King down in this way. And that was it. It was like a little 15-second video. And it ended up getting like 50,000 views. And so then that's kind of what showed me like, okay, this is a platform that really has to do with just, creating a hook, giving people something to be interested in, reeling them in, and just having a quick, punchline, I guess, for lack of a better term. So it was after that video hit 50,000, which for me was just absolutely shocking at the time, that I started to realize like there could be a different kind of a strategy that I could use to approach making videos for this platform specifically. So I started kind of learning how to use, and it took me a while to learn how to use some of the editing functions within the app. I do a lot of videography and editing within Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects, and I'm involved in music, and so I understand some of the higher end programs for video and audio editing, but I'm like, I really want to invest in like the spirit of what this app is all about. So it was really important to me to just get in there and play around and just allow myself to find a sense of freedom in being able to do some just silly type of sketches. And a lot of that was just about me releasing my inhibitions, in how I saw myself and how I thought other people saw me, and just allowing myself to be free, allowing myself to be silly, allowing myself to play. And those are some things that we tend to lose once we get into adulthood. We're told that we have to be dignified and serious and, not embarrass ourselves at all. And it was like, if you go watch some of my early sketches, a lot of it is just experimentation. It's just me playing around, trying to figure out what I wanted to do or what I felt free enough to do. But I just had to let that be okay. I had to let it be okay for me to just experiment and play around. If you follow the progression of my sketches, then you'll see that they increasingly start addressing social and cultural issues that are really important to me. Things like race and, at the time, politics. When I really was starting to get hot and heavy with posting on TikTok, it was during the election season. And, there was just a lot that was bubbling up in me that I wanted to express, and I felt very much silenced by the other social media platforms because there were so many friends and family on there, and I just knew if I spoke my mind about certain things that I would just be dropping a bomb. I tend to not be very political on those other platforms, and so TikTok represented a certain amount of freedom for me because there were not a lot of friends and family on there. I just tend to not follow a lot of people on there. And, a lot of people my age are not even, I'm Gen X, a lot of people my age are not even on there at all. They don't know anything about it, and they're intimidated by it. So that was part of the freedom of TikTok. It's just like, all right, here's this playground that I have where the people that I know aren't really here. They're not really going to find me in that way. So that helped me to get freed up a little bit. And then I would occasionally share sketches to Instagram. I do that more now than I used to then, but it started to be a place where I could really find a sense of freedom and a sense of expression. So I think one of the first videos that I had to really blow up to about 500,000 or 600,000 views, I think it's at right now, was called War on Conservatism. It had to do with the firing of the actress Gina Carano from The Mandalorian. I think that's the name of the show. The irony is that I don't even watch the show. I had just heard a lot of controversy and rumblings about statements that she had made on Twitter or Facebook about a comparison that she was making between conservatives and their treatment, people's treatment of conservatives today, and the rise of the Nazis in pre-World War II Germany, and how Hitler and the Nazis had caused neighbor to turn against neighbor, and that this was the climate that the conservatives were experiencing right now. And so when I hear statements like that, it chaps my hide, it burns me up, and I just wanted to make a statement about it. I really did. So I basically made a sketch about the Gina Carano situation, which I'm going to show you right now. This was really the first sketch that kind of took off and really, caused me to understand that I could develop a following on the platform. Here it is.
Can you believe they just took that actress off The Mandalorian for expressing common sense conservative beliefs?
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yes, they are shutting us down and canceling us. They are waging a war against conservatism.
Oh my God, that's horrible. So they're canceling people for speaking out about wanting smaller government?
Well, no.
Oh, so she supports school choice, like charter schools and vouchers. I cannot believe they would shut her down over that.
Well, I don't know her position on that.
Oh, so she was expressing support of like the NAFTA free trade agreement, or
what is that? No.
Oh, so she must have come down hard on environmental regulations against corporate entities or something.
And not at all.
Oh, so she opposed taxes that disproportionately affect the wealthy, or...
She compared people's criticism of her conservative beliefs to the extermination of the Jews in Nazi Germany.
So that's what y'all doing now?
Okay, so that was called War on Conservatism, my first really big video on TikTok, which I think now has something like 600,000 followers. So that was pretty cool. And then after that, I did a series of informational essays on the Dr. Seuss situation. So I started to figure out after a point, like, okay, if you can get in there and do like timely, relevant, kind of hot button touch point issues, then that's something that people can coalesce around. They will, they'll gravitate to it just because you're talking about current events. You're talking about something that's going on right now. And the other thing that I found out that was successful on TikTok was basically doing sketches or talks about things that people could relate to. If people can find something to relate to in your content and you can capture their attention and keep it while showing them something that is relatable, I noticed that that was also a really consistent formula for actually getting, some eyeballs on your stuff. So then my content sort of became a combination of this, like the sketch work that was sort of socially, culturally relevant, occasionally political, but mostly like discussing conservatism, which is kind of a hot button issue for me. The evangelical world, which is also a big hot button issue for me because I grew up in that world. I tend to do a lot of comedy and sketch work and satire around, issues of hypocrisy and things like that within the evangelical world. And then I started to move more into discussions about race and culture and things like that, which is kind of where I am right now. But I have noticed, I throw a lot of things against the wall and just try to see what sticks. And I've noticed that I feel that I have a certain amount of insight when it comes to being a bridge really in conversations about race. That's one of the things I feel like my upbringing really prepared me for, is to have frank conversations around race, which I have not really allowed myself to do on any other platform. I mean, in my real life with the people I know, I have these conversations from time to time, but I knew that there was a bigger contribution that I wanted to make to that conversation. So it's been a huge outlet for me. Now that's the good side, the outlet that it has been. But I noticed starting with a series of videos that I did on the Dr. Seuss situation, there were several books that were removed from his canon or library that the family decided to stop distributing, and schools have taken them out because they've been found to have some racist themes and racist language in them. So I decided to address that issue, to do some research, because I didn't know about this whole thing, and someone had posted something about it in late February, that Dr. Seuss had some issues with racism and had a history of this. I had no idea. So I got curious and started to do some research, and then decided to do like this whole 3-part video on it, not having any clue that he was going to be a part of National Reading Week, which was happening in the beginning of March. I was putting this video out like maybe February 21st or something. I had no idea the timing of this. So the videos the 3-part video series, it just sat there on Dr. Seuss. It just sat there for a couple of weeks. It did well, 9, 10,000, which was pretty good for me at the time. And sat there for a couple of weeks. After a couple of weeks, once Dr. Seuss Week hit, and all of a sudden, all of these stories start being released about Dr. Seuss having issues with racism, and he was being canceled, and he was being pulled from the shelves. It just became this whole big thing. And just fortuitously, I had happened to post these 3 videos, and the first one really just went. It exploded, as big as the War on Conservatism video that I had before, but really with even more controversy. For those big videos that are touching on issues of, politics or culture or race, there's always going to be, a lot of yakety yak in the comments. But for this Dr. Seuss series of videos, I noticed that it started to get really toxic after a point. I started to be targeted by a group of kids who are basically nothing more than a group of online bullies, and they call themselves the Hamsters. Some of them actually are a part of this group called the Hamsters. Some of them are just random trolls, but tons of trolls started to descend upon my post, started to curse me, call me names, racial epithets. Just anything you can think of, just horribly rude, disrespectful language, just straight up trolling. And they would do stitches and duets with my videos and put those out there, just cursing me, whatever they could, do to just try to be disruptive. They were clearly trying to get me to take the videos down, which I never did. I ended up having to turn off the comments because it got so bad. I was being just straight up bullied and harassed by a bunch of, they were young kids. These, some of them probably as young as 8, 9, 10 years old. Just harassing me. And this was my first real experience with this kind of thing. So it was very disruptive, very upsetting, very disturbing. And, I enjoy interacting with people in my comments. And so, I had tons of other videos up and was making new videos and wanted to be able to interact with people around those, but just not being able to have that kind of interaction because I was just running into all of these hateful comments. It was very disruptive and very upsetting. And I finally figured out how to just turn off the comments and turn off the sharing and the duetting, and that took me a while. A good week and a half of being harassed and bullied and berated for putting up these videos. So that was my first experience with, just the wrath of TikTok and what these trolls were capable of, and just how bad the problem of white supremacy is on TikTok. It's really, really bad. So, if you're a parent and you're watching this and you have a kid, especially if you are a white parent and you have young boys mainly, those are the ones, the main ones who've been perpetuating this kind of really just hateful, torturous, bullying activity against me and against many, many other people. And I'm sure, absolutely sure, that these children's parents have no idea what they are doing. They think, and most of them are gamers, and they have, anime as their avatars, a lot of them hamsters, as I said, as their avatars. And I don't think a lot of their parents have any clue. There's no way they have any clue what these children are actually up to. But this is, this has been kind of the dark side of TikTok that I have had to contend with since my videos really started to get a lot of traction. So I went on to have a few more successful videos, comedy videos, cultural commentary, satire, that kind of thing. And then the big one hit. I decided to do a video on the whole Aunt Jemima controversy. I had no idea how messy and how controversial and just how ugly this whole Aunt Jemima thing had gotten or was about to get. I really had no idea. I just had heard some murmurings about it. I'm like, what is the big deal and why are people opposing this? And this should not be a big issue. This is maybe a couple of weeks ago that I decided to just, I'm gonna, do a little research myself. And as I said, this was always discussed around my household. The fact that Aunt Jemima was a slave character, it was a mammy, it was, this terrible image that had come from blackface. And it really, was a play on words for Ain't Your Mama, that, because this white man had created this character and was basically mocking black women. That's how the whole product got started. Once the whole question of changing over that bottle and everything happened in 2020, I started to do more research and started to discover some of these old ads. And those ads very much played into this slave image where they were writing dialogue in magazines with broken English. And, she was very much supposed to be a mammy, the whole idea of just taking home your mammy with you on a box. So I thought that would be good territory for me to cover. I'm a Black woman, and I felt like I had a particular freedom to be able to speak on that. I'm not a huge partisan, so I wasn't invested in, this from a political point of view at all. I just wanted to speak on it myself. And it was cool. When I first posted it, it got, 9 or 10,000 views, but I knew there was something really heavy with me. When I posted, I was like, this is going to do something. I had a few videos at that point that had gotten to maybe, 500,000 or 600,000 views. And that was like a big video for me, maybe 3 or 4 videos that had gotten that big. But I knew this one was going to do more. And I knew it was going to be significant. I knew that it would cause some controversy because I was responding to controversy. But I really had no idea just how invested people would be in, having this conversation. And a lot of what ended up happening wasn't really conversation. It was really just horrible, blatant racism. So I've gotten a ton of comments on that video. The video itself has reached 15.5 or 15.6 million views as of me talking to you about it. And it is here on my YouTube channel. But it's a series of 2 videos, actually. But the first video has gotten over 15 million views at this point. Just tens of thousands of comments in the comments section. I spend probably 2 hours per day deleting and blocking trolls, deleting and blocking ignorant people who really are not contributing to any sort of conversation. They are just there to troll my comments section, really. I did not know that the right-wing conservative echo chamber, as some would call it, was pushing this so heavily that this was just such a horrible decision, and they're going to remove Black people from the bottle and there's not going to be any representation. I may do a whole video just on my response to a lot of the foolery around this video and the decision to remove this slave imagery from the label. I may do a separate video about that. But this is just something I was not prepared for, to hit that many views. And I remember just talking to my sisters and talking to my husband as it was just going up and up and up and up, just from 1 million to 2 million to 3 million. And that process happened over a period of just several hours. It hit 10 million views in probably 7 or 8 hours. And of course, I had never experienced anything like this before. It was crazy. There was no way I could have kept up with the comments. And I had a good, maybe 6, 7, 8 hours with it, of just being able to appreciate the fact that it was taking off and it was going viral. I had, a few hours really before the trolls started to descend upon it. So that experience really for me, I would say it's been quite tainted by just the most horrible backlash that I could have imagined. I've had people that have found me on my other social media platforms and have inboxed me wonderful things, inboxed me beautiful messages. I've just had such an outpouring of appreciation and gratitude for sharing the message of, this character, the racism behind this character. But then there's also been an equally exuberant expression of anger and just accusations and just some of the most horrible things that people have said in response to my putting this out there. So it's been the best of times and the worst of times for 2 straight weeks, just kind of enduring the torrent of feedback and of backlash behind this video. And as I said, I want to do a whole video just on my response to some of the controversy behind it. My admonishment to you would be, if you're going to do, and I'm proud of everything that I've put out there, and I've continued to do more satire and more commentary on, video essays on culture and on race, and it's kind of an area that's feeling super inspiring for me right now. So I'm glad about where I'm sitting right now. I may end up doing a shift and doing some different things down the road, but right now I sort of like, this niche that I have found. But just as an admonishment to you, if you are, considering trying to grow your TikTok, make sure that the niche that you find is something that, first of all, is rife for a lot of material, is rife for, if you're doing comedy or if you're doing commentary or, whatever you're doing, how-to videos, I don't know. But just make sure that it's something that is potentially going to give you a well of more material that you can mine from down the road. Because I've definitely watched people who have gone viral, they've taken off, and they have become kind of a one-trick pony. They really just have one thing that they do, and every video is sort of a takeoff on that one thing. And there's only a certain amount of fuel that you're going to get from just one comedic idea. You really do have to be able to develop that into something larger. So that would be my main piece of advice if you're wanting to test the waters and see what you might have to offer on that platform. It has the greatest opportunity for growth. They are going to generally share your videos with a lot of people who have not experienced you, haven't seen you, and it operates mostly as a meritocracy. I feel like right now they are suppressing my videos because they're not getting the kind of views that they had been. They'll sometimes just cut you off. I don't know what the logic is behind it, but I feel like I'm in a period right now where they are not exposing my videos to as many people, and they just sort of arbitrarily make those decisions. I have my theories as to what's behind it, but they're just theories. But I would say, in a general sense, if you have something that you feel that people might respond to, I would say that TikTok, more than any other platform that I've experienced, gives you the most opportunity for fast growth and for exposure to audiences that have never seen or heard you before. So if you think you can hang, their 60-second videos. You got to know how to tell the story, get out the message fairly quickly, grab people's attention. It's not an easy thing to do, but if you're willing to put some time in, it was probably, a month or two of me consistently posting before I started to really figure out what worked. But if you're willing to put the time in, it's a really exciting platform. And, there be dragons there. It's one of the most exciting platforms, but it's also one of the most dangerous platforms to be on. And I don't know that they do a very good job regulating certain people on that platform. Here's hoping that part of it gets better, but until then, I still feel driven and motivated to put my message out there. Not really sure how much cross-pollination there's going to be. One idea that I had is to do just some, the kinds of things that I'm doing right now, just kind of video essays and talking about subjects that I really can't get into very deeply on TikTok, because those are 60-second, hits. I've posted the Aunt Jemima quick wrap-up videos, and I think it would be a really cool thing to be able to come here to YouTube and kind of do a longer form discussion where I just get to sort of riff on a topic. I would love to be able to do that more often. So if you would like to see more of that, please let me know in the comments. If you've had the chance to check out the Aunt Jemima video, I would love to hear in the comments what your thoughts are about that. And I would like to hear more about the type of content that you would like to see me do here on YouTube. I love doing this kind of thing, and as I said, I plan to come back and do another talk about the subject of that first video that blew up and went viral on TikTok, which is the whole Aunt Jemima controversy. So I will come back and do a video about that. But I want to thank you guys so much for listening. That is my story of blowing up on TikTok and all of the perils and the joys therein. So it's been quite a roller coaster ride. I'm continuing to produce content, and if you want to follow me on there, I'm going to put all of that information either in the video or down below in the description. But just give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys really soon to do some deeper dives into some subjects that are really close to my heart. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.